What's your choice? No pressure. Talk to the mic.
Do you know what? I kind of like. Maybe it's a basic choice, but I'm going to go with the Ginsberg because I'm interested.
Supermarket in California?
Yeah. I want to spend a bit of time with that.
Wow, we have never done that in a webcast,
Okay.
I don't think.
Right.
That's so great. All right, everybody, get hold of that text, and I'm going to do something that I probably will regret, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to ask everyone to say the briefest thing. This is lightning round, because otherwise it's going to take us forever. Please be disciplined. Say something brief, okay? Anna, I'm sorry, you're first, and then Erica.
I'll just read my favorite line. Will we walk all night through solitary streets? The trees add shade to shade, lights out in the houses. We'll both be lonely.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, Ginsberg in suburbia in Berkeley in the 50s. Erica and Kate will be on deck.
I love how the poem is kind of like one long exclamation mark.
Yes, love it. Okay, Kate and then Jason.
I love the nesting time frames of the poem and the beauty and the urgency of the doors close in an hour from our contemporary perspective, looking back on Ginsberg's time and then Whitman's behind him.
So well observed. Thank you. Jason's up and Andrew's on deck.
Okay, I don't know. I'll point out the parenthetical phrase or the parenthetical sentence in the last stanza where I like the touching.
Very cool. Andrew, followed by Dave.
I hate Ginsberg and I hate this poem.
Same. Ian, how do you feel?
I don't feel so invested that I need everyone to love Ginsberg.
Yeah,
I'm not sure I love Ginsberg uncomplicatedly, but
okay.
I'm interested in a queer take on what's wrong with Ginsberg because I think there's a lot that you can say, but I want to know why Andrew. I'm curious. Why does Andrew hate Ginsberg?
Andrew, you really stole the show here, so you get to say more.
I was told that I had to be brief, so I'm
Oh, but say one thing.
I'll say it's related to my comment last week about my, aversion to Whitman, to this kind of like, coercive exaltation as a mode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's just how I feel. I'm sorry to be a hater.
No. There's room for haters, especially where the beats are concerned. So thank you for that frankness. Frankness is one of Ginsberg's favorite words, by the way. Okay, I forgot who was on deck. It doesn't matter.
Dave.
What? Dave, you're on deck, and then Abby. Sorry, Dave is up, and Abby's on deck. Grab the mic, Abby. Dave?
We strode down the open corridors together in our solitary fancy tasting artichokes. I just think it's amazing to taste artichokes in the grocery store. If you're going to food sample, artichoke probably the last thing on my list. And I think it's awesome.
You got to be digging in, and that's so funny, and peeling it. Very, very well observed. Okay, Abby and Maya is on deck.
Cool. I don't like this poem very much either, but I do like the use of the word Odyssey. I don't really hear it without relation to Homer. So.
Very nice. Maya, and we'll have Sophia on deck.
Well, I'm trying to envision the babies and the tomatoes, but I can't. Like, I don't feel like they'll reach. I'm not sure where they are. So just having some trouble with that.
Can you say the line a few times?
Wives in the avocados, babies in the tomatoes.
Say it again.
Wives in the avocados, babies in the tomatoes.
Babies in the tomatoes. That is just like such a line. Babies in the... It's gross. Like, why would you put babies in the tomatoes? Thank you, Maya. Sophia and Louise is on deck, so Louise needs the mic.
Honestly, I'm thinking about how this is the second time peaches have come up tonight, and I'm allergic to peaches, and I don't like it. I feel
Okay,
personally
all right.
offended.
A little bit random, but you can be forgiven for that.
Yeah.
Louise is up, and Alva, or Al, is on deck.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I noticed on this reading of the poem that Ginsberg begins with a headache and a hungry fatigue. So the entire story is told from the perspective of a sick person.
Nice. And if you have a headache, the last place you want to go at like 11:30 is to a well-lit supermarket. So he's really punishing himself.
I'm also not a fan of this poem, but I appreciate that while this is a Whitmanian poem and Whitman really steals the show, Lorca has a cameo, maybe to tell us that there are Spanish speakers at this supermarket, which is plain. It's California, but I appreciate it nevertheless.
Very nice. Thank you for that. Let's pass the mic back to Gab, and Natalia will follow.
I'm really interested in the setting of this poem being a supermarket because it's a weird space in that it's accessible to everyone, but as soon as you enter it, the social hierarchy is so visible. It's like, who's working these weird hours? Who's able to afford these bananas and what do they cost? And who's the person whose like labor is gonna chop the pork chop? So it's this like public space, but the social stratification is so obvious. So I was just wondering what Walt, with his idea of everyone being an equal blade of grass, would think of that.
Beautiful. Thank you. Natalia, followed by Farsi.
The Californian, this reminds me of home.
Where in California are you from?
From Bay Area. My
From the
mom
Bay Area.
grew up in Berkeley, actually.
Oh my gosh.
But ironically, it made me think of Erewhon and very expensive, overpriced Californian grocery stores, and how these have become places not of accessing food, but of evoking class distinction.
Well said. Boy, everybody's so good. Farsi, followed by Lainey.
I like the invocation of Charon in this towards the end, especially because I also picked up on the fact that it's told from a sick perspective / headache perspective. So the idea of death being there is interesting, but I actually like Smoking Bank, and I think it's fun that there's a bank for smokers.
I don't think it's a reference
I know,
to
but that's how I
people's-
read it.
Okay, I love that.
And I think that that's a very fun reading of it. So.
No, it is a fun, and you can do whatever you want, which is so great. All right, Lainey, and then Stanley, who's on the phone and been patiently waiting.
Are you my angel? What I love about the poem is this imaginary sense of being accompanied by a literary influence, is walking through the world with you, and the whole world is different because of it.
Perfect, thank you. Stanley, are you still on? Do you want to say a thing about the poem?
Oh yes. And you, Garcia Lorca, what were you doing down by the watermelons?
Beautiful. Hey, Stanley, thank you for calling us. Be well out there. I hope it's not too hot. I guess it's probably 110 where you are. And stay cool for us and be in touch. And thanks for everything you do in the community. Appreciate it. The phone is open for one more call, 610-616-3208. Ian, you can speak more than briefly. You're the special star. Say what you want about this poem.
Okay, well, that's great, because there was two things that I was oscillating between what I wanted to say. I suppose...
You can say both of them.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love the way, as an outsider to America, that the supermarket is such a locus of kind of what we get given, this like American culture, like mall culture, shopping culture. Also loving the fact that one of the first things I did when I got here was Lainey took me to a mall because my luggage went missing. So we went to Target shopping and we were like, this is the most American thing.
First thing in
Doing
Philadelphia.
the terrible American thing.
Yeah.
It is perfect.
Yeah, so also like...
Did you get the luggage yet?
No, the luggage has yet
What
to arrive.
airline are we talking about?
Aer Lingus, they're meant to be good. Well, they're good anyway, though, who knows. But yeah, I don't know, like, I'm getting supermarkets via Ginsberg as a site of queer possibility as well, especially when framed with the Whitman and all this kind of, I don't know, maybe there's something about the kind of leveling of possible social interactions that like anyone who's in there is equal aisle space, equal kind of transactions, and all the people that other people are picking up on that are seen, like who killed the pork chops. I mean,
Yeah.
who was that?
But-
Was it some queer butcher somewhere? You know.
But
like,
Ian,
yeah.
when he eyes the grocery boys, it's a one-way gaze.
Well, this is the problematic side of Ginsberg.
Yeah, I just thought
yeah,
I would-
yeah.
I mean, maybe the grocery boys are eyeing him.
Well,
but he seems a bit of a. I mean,
No,
he's hanging around with
yeah.
a lonely old grubber.
I know, and I guess like that's one of the things that redeems it slightly for me, because you're right. There's a predator. Obviously, there's a huge predatory thing in,
Yeah,
in
he went.
Ginsberg.
He's cruising, isn't he?
Yeah,
isn't he there to cruise?
Yeah, but also I like the fact that he's got time for Whitman as well. So there's
Lorca.
there's the daddy kind of situation. There's a kind of queer fathering. The other thing I was going to.
I mean, Whitman knew, although he was in
Yeah.
Camden, not Berkeley. Whitman knew how to cruise.
Yeah. Yeah, and the supermarket is totally a site of queer desire, you could say. And it inspired a great poem by Jane Goldman called A Supermarket in Midlothian.
What?
Which is a county in Scotland.
Lady,
so I love
why
it for
is
that.
not in ModPo Plus?
We need
Yeah,
to add it.
yeah, you
Jane
didn't say-
Goldman.
yeah, I
I,
just thought it
want
was like-
everybody.
Wait, can we pull
Ian,
it up quickly?
Yeah, I have it here.
Can we read
Oh, you
it?
do have it?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the setup. Jane Goldman is a dear friend.
Yeah,
of Ian's,
dear friend.
And now a dear friend of ours, because
Yeah.
when we were in Scotland, we hung out at Jane's place and just fell head over heels for Jane's acumen and her brilliance and her she's an amazing person.
Yeah, you can just press go and she just comes out with amazing content.
She is amazing.
She's-
And I would just suggest that everybody go to modpo.org and then click modpo.org, it's very simple, and then click explore. And when you get to the option, type in Jane Goldman, either as a participant or as an author, as a poet, and you will get a copy of the video we made in Jane's living
Yeah.
room that you were there for.
Yeah,
All
her
right.
poem about Majolica plates.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, can I read Jane's
Please,
poem? Yeah,
please.
this would make me really happy to do this. So also see what she does with gender and all the kind of queerness stuff.
Okay.
A supermarket in Midlothian. In the moment, in the memories, tasting dark and blood frozen, I confess, already at an open window texting myself, musing among the veg. Was that it, but preferring cauliflowers to men in some aisle of a neon fruit supermarket where I like to loiter alone and palely shopping, yes, for peachy images on the qui vive for poets, and so wanting when I saw you silent, so delicately musing over the frozen fish, to ask you when I saw you silent, so delicately musing there, and then Anne Lore, another Scottish poet, what were you doing down by the watermelons, and with what delicacy, not wishing to make a lonely old grubber of either of us, thinking too of Bacon's Vincent, on his way to work, of all that delicacy, want and market, a hungry market, in which the sea corridors, it crabs, and essential artichokes double in price. I was searching in the creme fresh aisles for a new queer courage teacher. Your poem has made me think what thoughts tonight of these are animal days, there are no other, of the animal that therefore I am and I follow.
Mm.
Yeah,
Jane
it's a great
Goldman.
poem, yeah.